All right. Hello, class. Today we're going to be talking about how authors use the details about the setting and characters and themselves um, to to build the story in their memoirs. And so first, usually they're going to reveal who their characters are and like some of the things that they're struggling with, and they kind of also think carefully about where the story takes place, and then they're going to like get into what are some of the larger issues at play in order to kind of paint a picture for the reader. If you look on the e-class page, you can see there's a under the activating strategy. There's a little PDF here that you can look at that kind of gets into what are some of the questions that writers are going to be asking about it, and what readers should be asking as well. Like as they're analyzing the influence of setting on character and plot. So setting involves time, place, and culture. Um, Culture includes like rules people live by, society, structure of society, values and beliefs. And the way that you're going to analyze the influence of that is you can ask things like, how do people behave in this world? What makes them behave this way? How does the setting impact the character's choices? Um, and uh, And so we're going to look at Trevor Noah's book, Born a Crime, which I already read some of that to you. And I'm going to look at kind of what's going on in the story and how you can analyze that. So if you look at the beginning of the things that we read, you see how it starts out. He jumps into the action. He talks about how he was 9 years old when his mom threw him out of a moving car, and how this happened on a Sunday. Um, so this reveals a little bit about his mom's character. Probably, she's protecting him from something. Um, we don't know what at this point, but we can kind of see a little bit about who she is from that, because she seems like she's protective. We can see that the setting, is important because Sunday was, church day, and he would spend all day going around back and forth between these churches, and how his mom's faith was a big part of her life, both for his mom and for his grandma. And so this is going to go into what her character is like as well. But it also is going to come into the setting as well, because when he talks about like how like indigenous people around the world, Black South Africans, adopted the religion of our colonizers. So this gets into like the idea of apartheid and how their colonizers, the Dutch mostly who colonized South Africa, kind of forced Christianity on the people who lived there originally. So the Black South Africans from multiple tribes. And so even though Christianity was forced on them, they decided to go ahead and give it a shot, and it stuck with his family, and they became strong. His mom especially became a very strong Christian, and so this is a big part of the story, because it's going to come up many times in the story. And when he keeps on going on, he also brings up his grandmother's faith and how that's also tied in with his traditional Xhosa beliefs, with ancestor worship, communicating with the spirits. That goes into her character, what she's like, as well as a little bit about setting, and you get into these three different churches that he goes to. That's going to be part of the setting, because it's a big part of what this story, how the story takes place. Because he's going back and forth between these churches, between the mixed church and the black church and the white church. I'm going to skip down again to this part, then where he talks about he he lived in Eden Park, the suburb outside of Johannesburg, and he'd spend all day going back and forth between churches. So again, that goes into the setting. It also goes a little bit into their character because, why would they spend all this time going back and forth between church? Because his mom wanted to get these different things out from the different experiences at these three different churches. And, it also tells you about their character. Like, their family was culturally adept enough to be able to experience three different types of churches, where a lot of people in South Africa at that time were not. They were either white and they'd spend all their time in the white community, or they were black and they'd spend all their time in the black community. There wasn't a lot of crossover. So it's kind of already telling you that his family is unique. When he gets into this part about this particular Sunday, he gets into the talking about the car. His mom had this ancient, broken down, bright tangerine Volkswagen Beetle. Tells you a little about her character and how she's thrifty. Probably tells you that she probably doesn't have a lot of money, because she's not buying a new car. She's not keeping that up, but she's not so poor that she can't own a car. So this is maybe a point of pride for her. And he gets into talking about the secondhand car being the reason why his mom got married to this guy who's a jerk. It sounds like he tortured them for years and put a bullet in the back of his mom's head. So we learned a little bit about what this stepfather was like, and why Trevor Noah hates secondhand cars. Then we get into why when the car didn't start, Trevor Noah was pleading, please say we'll stay home, but his mom was just determined, we're going to go to church. And we get a little bit of more detail in this part that I didn't read, which is right after this, where she says, it's the devil, she said about the stalled car. The devil doesn't want us to go to church. That's why we got to catch the minibus. And he said, or the Lord knows that today we shouldn't go to church, which is why he made sure the car wouldn't start. So we stay home as a family and take a day of rest. Because even the Lord rested. That's the devil talking, Trevor. No, because Jesus is in control. No, Trevor. Sometimes he puts obstacles in our way. So you can kind of see they have different perspectives. He wants to stay home. She thinks, this is the devil putting obstacles in our way. So her character is very determined. Like, she's not going to let anything get in her way for going to church. So she says, don't undermine me. It's a command and it's a threat. So she demands his respect, and she demands that he follows what she says. So they go to church. And he kind of had some doubts. And so it's going through all that. And then I'm going to get into what I want you to do. Is I want you to not analyze this story. I'm using this as an example. I want you to analyze the story, the scholarship jacket, which there's a link to that on the eClass page. So that's right here. So I want you to analyze how the author uses like the characterization and setting. I'm going to change the wording here to characterization and setting to reveal the characters. And so I've got an example here in the digital notebook, which you can go ahead and read. And basically what I'm doing here is just, this is how I would write. This is just something that I wrote really quickly to show you how you can analyze a passage, so that you can kind of write something similar about the scholarship jacket. So you can kind of see what that looks like. All right. So yeah, if you have any questions about that, please let me know. And this will be due on Friday.